All right, good stuff. So coming from IG, Terrapin9 says, did you ever have a class that behavior was such a problem that you could not control them?
Dude, it's like that every day, man. And I'll tell you that. I mean, you know how we are at our school district. We have an awesome school district. Our kids are amazing. I cannot complain about our students. They are amazing. They always do great, but everybody's got problems. Everybody's got something going on. So if I have a class personally, if there's something going on in the class and students just cannot follow directions, they cannot. First of all, I have to give them some grace because you never know where they're coming from or what's going on in their situation. But first, as a teacher, I'm going to give them grace, and then I'm just going to refer back to our rules and our expectations in class. And if they're not following the rules and expectations in class, that's a chance for you to teach them about how important it is to first listen. And I talk about all the time, listening is a skill. I mean, you might have a couple of years, but it takes a skill for you to listen. And following directions is going to help you be successful. No matter what kind of activities I teach you, if you can listen and follow directions, you're going to be very successful in life. And that's the soapbox that I get on a lot of times when my students or our students aren't doing what they're supposed to do. But I mean, I know it's not. We are very lucky to have very great students. But anytime that I'm in a situation like that, I'll always refer back to our rules and standards and making sure that students are listening and following directions and doing all those things like that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've definitely had classes like that. I go back to anytime I have a really bad like kindergarten or 4K class, and we're talking about it with like our related arts team,
Yeah.
like trying to brainstorm like what's working for you.
Yeah.
I always say it wasn't as bad as that one year. It's that
True.
one class that I'll always remember.
It's true.
Like it was a 4K group, man, and it's like 4 or 5 kids just running across
All over
the
the place.
gym, like
Yeah.
throwing equipment around,
Yeah.
and you tell them to stop, they don't do it. You're calling admin support almost every day,
Yeah.
and you just have to like what I had to do is totally modify my entire curriculum
Mm-hmm.
to basically not use much equipment, to move like very slow,
Yeah.
do lots of very basic stations, and like Marcus said, you're going back to those rules and procedures and stuff. I've had a pretty rough group of fifth graders a few times
Okay.
where it was like we had a few kids that were new,
Yeah.
so it's like their first year at my school,
Didn't
haven't
know.
really come up in my culture, my
Correct.
PE culture.
Oh yeah, I understand.
And so then they were like just always cheating,
Mm-hmm.
being disrespectful, talking, not giving very much effort. And so with that class, what I did was like the other fifth grade classes would be doing basketball tournament.
Yeah.
With them, I was like, hey, we're not ready for basketball tournament because y'all are like on a second grade level. So we got to do a second grade lesson today. So
yeah.
we're going to be learn how to dribble.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a few of those where a few of them started to really buy in and like get that positive peer pressure
For
going.
sure.
So man, you just got to like find those kids that you know are like right on the edge in that class that you're talking about where
Mm-hmm.
the behavior is so bad, and try to pull them in, and then they pull a few more kids in. But that class was always my least favorite class to teach.
Yeah.
It's not going to change the fact that it's going to be a hard group of kids, but it did help like going back in a grade level and then using that as kind of a reward. It's like, look, if you're going to act like fifth graders, we'll do fifth grade stuff, but
Yeah.
I can't trust you to act like fifth graders. We're going to do a second grade lesson.
For sometimes you have to change your default, because a lot of times when you're in a tough class like that, you want to go negative and you want to go all that kind of stuff. But if you change your default to like, I'm going to praise this kid that's always doing what they're supposed to do and lead that as an example, and hopefully other ones will follow along, then you start to create that positive culture in your class like you talk about.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to second grade lesson, but this the student is doing what they're supposed to do, that's going to be my default feedback to them. I'm going to make sure that I praise that student. I'm going to make sure that I'm always acknowledging when that student's doing what they're supposed to do. And hopefully the other ones will follow along and join in with the group. So,
yeah. And it's that conversation about trust too.
yes.
Like I just remember having that over and over so many times. Cause like,
yes.
look, you're about to be in middle school.
Yes.
You want to have friends.
Yes.
You want people to want to play with you. If you can't be trusted to like play a game, nobody's gonna want to play with you, man.
For real.
Why are you
For real.
ruining this fun game that we could be playing?
Yeah.
You're trying to cheat every time we play the game.
Yeah.
But it's just it's harder when you have new kids coming in. So
Yeah.
depending on how much influx you have of new students and stuff at your school and your
Yeah.
situation, that can be harder because like the kids that have been with me for 6 years, they're
know.
good to go. You know, like
they
know.
know.
They're already,
Yeah.
they got the right culture, the right mindset for the most part.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's tough. And it's just,
it's a battle
just
every
part
day.
of teaching, man. And it's going to be like that for a long time.
Yeah. And sometimes, man, people ask about like with kindergarten and 4K and all that. Sometimes it's survival, man. Sometimes it's just like, hey, what's one thing that they can take away from this lesson?
Yeah.
To remember for the next time. And
yeah.
that may be, hey, just make sure you walk in like you're supposed to. And like that might be like that sometimes. So you just gotta, change your default, come up with some ideas, some different things, keeping things simple, and referring back to those standards and rules and expectations that you referred to. That's going to help your class and, move along where you want them to go.
Yeah. That just reminded me of, with my kindergarten first kiddos, like, since I can't really say, you're in kindergarten, you're acting like a 3-year-old, we're going to do a 3-year-old lesson. Like, we don't have 3-year-olds at our school.
Yeah.
So with them, if it gets real bad, sometimes I'll just scratch that lesson of the day and we'll do a following directions game.
Okay.
Or challenge.
Yeah.
So like, look, we're really struggling to follow directions. So we're going to practice following directions today. That's going to be our lesson. If you show me that you can follow directions, we're going to have a PE lesson next week.
Yeah.
And you'll come back.
Yeah.
And so I'll have them sit down and I'm going to say, I'm going to tell you 3 directions. You have to do them in order and you got to do it quietly and come back and sit down. And I'll say something like, I just make it up on the spot. Like, hey, you got to go touch something blue. You're going to go touch the rock wall map. You're going to go touch one walking line, which is like our end lines of our gym, and then sit down, crisscross applesauce, and then we'll do it. And then some kids always go touch the rock wall first, or they go touch the other line. I say, hey, you didn't do it in the right order, so we got to do it again because it matters, the order that I tell you to do things. So we'll practice again. And if they do that, I'll add one extra direction. So then I'll tell them 4 things to do. And then, sometimes we don't do it quietly. So we got to go back and try it again.
Yeah, try it again.
So doing that sometimes helps as well, just resetting those expectations, practicing those expectations.
Yeah.
But man, struggle. We're right there with you, and we're at good
every
schools
day.
too.
And
so,
we're at good schools,
yeah.
and we struggle at it as well.
A lot of behaviors.
For sure.